Senior Life Journeys presents Carol Howell's Let's Talk Dementia, a podcast designed to help caregivers find knowledge, power, hope, and smiles in their dementia caregiving journey. Welcome to Let's Talk Dementia. Here is your host, best-selling author, Carol Howell.
Hi everybody, welcome to Let's Talk Dementia. I am Carol Howell, your host, and I'm glad that you're here today. We're going to talk about driving cars. Yeah, and how that can be a problem in life when our loved ones have dementia. I was honored to receive a phone call from a lady that I had spoken with probably 2 months ago, and then she heard me speak quite unexpectedly. There she was, and I'm like, yay, I knew her. And so she called me this past week, very much in a state of trauma, and those phone calls are sad, and I was happy to be there for her, and I'm happy to be there for you. You can email me, Carol at Let's Talk Dementia. Tell me what's going on and give me your phone number, and I'll call you back. Her situation was this. Dad was very, very, very upset. And Dad has dementia, and he's fairly far along, and I would say a good mid-stage, progressing mid-stage, in that every day he is determined to get his car back. I mean, angry, ready to fight. I want my car back. They had taken Dad's keys because he's no longer safe driving, and we know statistically when someone with dementia has an accident, they hurt themselves and someone else, or else they kill themselves and someone else. And that's just a risk we can't take. The peripheral vision of the human body changes as we age. That's the ability to see right and left while looking straight ahead, or top to bottom while looking straight ahead. And as we age, normally that peripheral vision gets smaller and smaller. But with Alzheimer's type dementia specifically, it is drastically affected, so that eventually that peripheral vision gets down to just a very small little area. And then our vision changes from binocular to monocular vision, meaning instead of seeing out of both eyes, we're probably only seeing out of one. That one probably has cataracts and glaucoma. And you can about bet if your individual has gone through the stages of dementia, they're not seeing out of that eye because they're probably wearing the wrong prescription. We get to the point we can't answer those questions at the eye doctor about which is better, one or two, and which looks clearer, So we're probably wearing the wrong eyeglasses. So that makes driving very, very dangerous. Plus, our reflexes are off. Our ability to stop real quickly or go, whoops, I forgot to do this, or whatever, or let me get over in the other lane because someone's coming towards me. That ability to respond quickly has left. And it makes us dangerous as a senior citizen with dementia. And so they realized this with Dad. He was having some real driving issues, and they took his keys away. Now, as you can imagine, Dad did not set his 2 girls down and go, thank you so much for loving me and caring for me enough that you looked out for me and you did the hard thing by taking my keys away. Now, wouldn't that have been wonderful? No, he set them down and told them that they were all a piece of, you fill in the blank, and that he was disappointed in them. He raised them better than that, and he used every curse word he'd ever heard in his whole life, in words they had not heard their daddy say, and it was awful. They were just petrified by this. They knew they could not leave Dad alone, and for a week, I talked to them on Friday, since Monday, they had tried staying with him overnight. He wasn't sleeping. They weren't sleeping. They were exhausted. He was exhausted. He had just recently come out of the hospital, and it was a big old mess. And they're like, Carol, what do we do? Well, I'm sitting there thinking, boy, I wish I had just a fantastically wonderful answer for them. But there's not a lot of answer for that. I did have some suggestions, and I'll go over those with you, but you've got to remember, for our folks with dementia, little by little by little, they are losing a piece of themselves, and they know this. Don't think they're not aware of it. They are. And for a man, you take away his keys, and you have taken away a huge part of his identity. Now, me, If you're willing to drive me around, I am willing to let you. My sweet mama, when she got lost in her car one day going to the doctor, came back the next day. I said to her, Mama, how about if I just take you everywhere you need to go? She goes, suits me, girl. Let's do it. I love it. And that was it. And then we sold a car, done. Never another thought. With men, that does happen, but not as often as it will with the female, because a man's identity is all wrapped up in when he got his driver's license and got his first car, and he can tell you what that car was and what the engine was and how much he paid for it, how many miles a gallon it got, blah, 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 blah. All that stuff I could care less about. But a man cares about that. It is different. Their identity is wrapped around that ability to get out and go and drive that car and be in control. And all of a sudden, you have reached in and snatched their keys, and they can't get to their car or get their car to cranks. Got no keys. I know a family that with their mom, now she was determined to drive, and they went outside and disabled her car. They thought that'll solve it, and she'll go out, and they let her keep her keys because the car wasn't going to crank, and they thought problem solved. Even in very advanced mid-stage dementia, she thought, I have got AAA. And she called AAA, and they came out and fixed her car. Their plan seriously backfired. So they called me. They said, now what? I said, well, you need to call AAA and cancel AAA so that if she calls, they won't come out. But what she did instead is she got her neighbor to take her somewhere. And, people get creative is what I'm telling you. But even if they're getting their neighbor to take them somewhere, it's safer than them out driving. What you have to think about, someone who is just very intent on driving, and you take their key away, they have just become a wander risk. They may never have been a wander risk before. You think, Daddy is not getting off his rear to go walk. Let me tell you, Dad just sits in his chair and drives his car. Yeah, but you take his key away, now he may become a wander risk because Dad gone, he's going to get out and go. And if he can't drive, he'll just take off and walk. So you have to be aware of that. That's what I was helping this family realize. So I told them some things they could do is to use diversion therapy. I want my keys back. Give me my keys back right now. Right? That's what Daddy was saying with a whole lot of 4-letter words that us good Christian folks don't use. And I said, say to him, Dad, that's a great idea. We're going to get your keys. I've got to go to my house and get them. You don't have them right there for sure. You can't just magically make them appear. No, you got to have a delay in that. But first, let's get dressed and let's go get some lunch because I'm starving and I know you are too. Or Dad, let's go do something. Something to divert his attention away from getting those blessed keys in his hand to going and doing something else. For some people, that will work. For some people, it will not work. For some people, they are so stuck, so fixated on that one thing, they're not going to come off of it. I recently did a show about being fixated on numbers. That's where Uncle Ernie is, my brother-in-law, and he is so fixated on numbers. He's still fixated on numbers. He cannot get off of numbers. Not sure he ever will. So with some people, you can divert their attention and get them to talking about and thinking about something else, even for just a little while. Some folks know they're going to be stuck on it. I also told them that, I got to investigating a lot of questions, digging a little deeper about what was going on with Dad physically. I wondered if he had a UTI, and come to find out he does not. Still a little not so sure I believe that, because the doctor did the quick test where they can just real quickly with the urinalysis tell, but not a culture. And I feel like he needs a culture because many times a culture will show a UTI when the little quick test in the doctor's office will say no. So I'm still kind of wondering about that. But Dad's not been sleeping. No, of course, neither have these daughters. They haven't slept in over a week. It's been constant. 3 or 4 hours here, 3 or 4 hours there. And Dad just being very angry the rest of the time and uncooperative. But as it is affecting them, not having good solid sleep, and they're healthy females, in the prime of their life, it's certainly affecting Dad. And that lack of sleep, you guys know what it does to you when you don't sleep well. Your brain can't function well. And I remind you that when you sleep and when you dream, your vacuum comes on in your brain and it clears out all the toxins out of your brain so that when you awaken, your brain will work on a higher level, function better. And if you don't get in that deep sleep and you don't dream, your vacuum does not come on. Well, Dad's vacuum's not been on for many, many, many days because he's not sleeping. We talked about melatonin and should he try melatonin, and she said he'd tried Benadryl one time and that made things really bad for him. So make a note of that. Benadryl did not work good for her dad. But I said what you need to do is call the pharmacist or the doctor and say, this is what's going on. Dad's not sleeping. Here is his list of medications. What can he take to maybe help him sleep? I also recommended that they get in touch with a geriatric neuropsychiatrist, psychologist, and begin to discuss if there's something he can take that'll help just take the edge off of his anger and his anxiety, because he's very jacked up. Oh my gosh, we can't have that. And we're not about keeping people drugged. That's not a good way to live. But living like he's living now, where he cannot be helped by any intervention that is not on a medical nature, that's not a good way for him to live or his family. It's going to destroy them all. So I've hopefully pointed them in that direction. They have, over the weekend, chosen a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful memory care community that Dad's going to be moving to. And I'm praying that he is going to be receptive of that. So I don't feel like it's going to be easy for them to make that transition, but they've got to, because they can't stay with Daddy 24/7, and Daddy can't be by himself. I hope their story has helped you. I'm sure it has resonated with some of you folks who either are dealing with this driving issue or you remember it from the past. I do want to tell you that I had a client that when his mom moved into assisted living, and they decorated her apartment beautifully, and I've told this story before, but it stands to be repeated. They were so proud of it, and they walked her in and showed it to her, and she said, "Why, this is gorgeous, and look, there's Johnny's picture, and there's Jimmy's picture," and they said, "Well, Mom, this is your new apartment, your retirement community," and she sat them all down. She said, "Y'all all sit down there." She had 5 children, and 4 of them were there, and she said, "I will not stay here, and I hope every one of you burn in hell." And I was standing there going, holy cow, did that just happen? But you know what? She calmed down. It didn't happen quickly. It took about a week. She calmed down. She lived there, I think, 3 years, quite happy. And so, you know, the situations that we're facing in the immediate, in the right now, often will change. And with dementia, you can just never guess which way they're going to go. Well, do write me if you have any questions. Carol at Let's Talk Dementia, and I'll be glad to be here for you. You know, I've been working towards hoping this podcast/video series will be available in 100 countries, and yesterday I looked it up. We're in 86. Yay, we're on our way. Talk to you next time. Blessings and smiles, guys. Bye-bye. Let's Talk Dementia would like to thank our sponsors, National Association of Veterans and Families. You can reach them at 800-352-2919, on the internet at www.navf.org. They speak veteran so you don't have to, and you tell them Carol sent you when you call to inquire about benefits for the veteran, the spouse of the veteran, or both. Editor Beth. You can find Ms. Beth Crosby at editorbeth.com. She is amazing at looking at what you've written and making sure it represents you well. Find her at www.editorbeth.com. And HD Imports, located on Flint Street Extension in Rock Hill, South Carolina. That's York County. 803-985-0985. They are there for the repair and maintenance of your Honda, Hyundai, Toyota, Kia. Tell them Carol sent you.
Thanks for joining us today for Carol Howell's Let's Talk Dementia. To learn more about dementia, we recommend Carol's best-selling book, also titled Let's Talk Dementia. It's available on Amazon in paperback and Kindle versions. Be sure to like Let's Talk Dementia on Facebook and leave us a kind word of review on iTunes. Remember, knowledge brings power. Power brings hope. Hope brings smiles. And we all need more smiles. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll be right here when you come back to Let's Talk Dementia.